Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 211 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Rosenberg. As per usual, it's a very special episode of Terminal City FC, special live show, special podcast, because the first time are in MLS Cup, and they will play against Lionel Messi and Inter Miami on Saturday, but they did it with a very good performance against San Diego.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positives we can take from that game against San Diego. One was the complete lack of fear that they showed in that first half. They went out knowing that getting the first goal was going to be so important for them. Not only knowing what their record is throughout this season and getting that first goal, but in knowing what it was going to do to Snapdragon Stadium and just, quieting it down for a little bit. And we got to see how good that attack is from multiple facets. And who knew that Kubas was able to do what he was able to do in that first goal?
Yeah, he was the one that created the turnover with his pressing, and then the pass across finds Brian White for the tap in. Good to see Brian White score again, first of the playoffs. I think 8 minutes. That's all it took for the Whitecaps to get on the front foot, and the key was to get off to a good start, and they did it.
Yeah, it was very, very quick. They did it again only 11 minutes later, very, very quickly, but this time using, the right channel through Sabi. It was a great switch of play. Sabi able to cut inside, plays the 1-2 with Mueller, cuts in. His shot is stopped, but Ali Ahmed is on to the rebound. And then at that point, it's kind of like a little bit of a pinball thing. The shot's blocked by the defender, goes off Cisniega's back and into the net for the second one.
Yeah, great switch of play from Mueller and Sabi, and then like a pinball effect, it went off McVeigh, then Cisnier gets back and into the net. Unlucky for San Diego, but Whitecaps will take it. That was just 3 minutes after the first goal, by the way. So it was 2-0, like less than 15 minutes in. And the Whitecaps continue to really just dominate the game through the flanks or through Sabi and Ali Ahmed. But the third goal, Ahmed dismantled Ian Wilshere one-on-one to cut in and find space for the cross, right for his second of the game.
Yeah, what Ali Ahmed was able to do to Pilcher is he's going to have nightmares of that. And we've seen Ali Ahmed be able to do that before, how good he is at 1v1s. His running style, which, I mean, I've heard a few different people. I heard someone describe it. It was like watching a giraffe run. I've always described it as some guy that almost looked like he's about to trip over his own feet. His upper body is so much forward in front of the ball that it's disarming. You don't really know which way he goes. And he completely undressed Pilcher in order to cut back rather than cutting inside on his right, moved down to the byline on his left, put it across for Brian White, who all he had to do was just chest the ball in, and that was it. 2 goals from Brian White.
Yeah, like,
you know what? They would look like they were easy goals, but it was great on him, especially for how long he has been out, to be able to read the game still as he does, to be as alert as he was, and to be in the right space at the right time.
Yeah, and that's what he does. His coaching ability, able to find, to be where he needs to be to put the ball into the net is something the Whitecaps have missed over the past few weeks. And just overall, that was a really good half. Sure, after the 2-0 goal, San Diego started to come to life, but did it really muster anything against Yoey Takaoka?
Chucky Lozano did come in at the half.
Again, center back.
Chucky Lozano did come in at the half. Gave them a bit of a spark. Kind of a lucky goal. Took the shot from distance well out. Took a pretty big bounce off, I believe it was Tate Johnson. Kind of lobbed over Takioka. Tough one. But that was it. They didn't really have a lot of kind of clear chances against the Whitecaps. And again, that's a lot to that kind of cohesive unit that they've been able to construct.
Yeah, with Laborda and Priso as the center backs. The both were formidable, and the Whitecaps were doing a good job of closing down spaces uh, in their own box to prevent San Diego from getting any good scoring chances. But other than that Lozano goal, that was really it. And heading into the game was keeping Andres Dreyer quiet. That was one of the big keys.
Yeah.
And they kept Andres Dreyer quiet for pretty much the entire game. There were sparks where he looked dangerous, but other than that, not not really.
You know what? It
And
was a lot of the game plan that you and I were talking
um,
about last week, where we said that in order to keep Andres Dreyer quiet, you have to stop the service to him in the first place. And I think that was one of the things that the Whitecaps did very well. Obviously, over 90 minutes, a few chances are going to get through, and a player like Dreyer is going to be able to take those chances and try and do something with them. But I agree with you. I think that they did very well at limiting what those chances were. 79th minute, though, and I don't understand this. Cisniega comes well out of his net.
I
He's
don't
almost
either.
at the halfway circle. Takes down Ryan Gauld, who had the ball. It's called on the straight red card. It was done right in front of Joe Dickerson, who was refereeing this game. He was pretty emphatic at drawing the card. Doxa. So they ended up having to sub a guy off to bring in a second goalkeeper, which I don't know what was in Cisniega's mind.
I don't know what he was thinking. Just a very foolish challenge.
Yeah.
Just to go all the way out of his crease to take down Ryan Gauld. Easy dog. So I don't know what he was thinking there. That pretty much sealed the deal for the Whitecaps. Luckily, Gauld was all right. Cisniega didn't even get the ball. So
he was pure leg. No. Didn't get anywhere near the ball. And to be fair, Ryan Gauld.
I'm going on an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gauld off the bench. That was the best we've seen him. I think since he came back off the bench, looked very dangerous. Was close to creating a fourth goal, but it didn't really matter. Wasn't needed. Cisniega sending off was San Diego's final nail in the coffin, and the Whitecaps are Western Conference champions.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a bit of a trophy celebration for that, but it's not the one that they're looking for. That one comes up this week. 11:30 is the start of the game for the MLS Cup down in Miami, or I should say 11:30 our time, Pacific. But on the other side, Miami, absolute dismantling of New York City FC. And you got to be honest, Miami didn't even play the greatest game that they could play.
Yeah. New York tried their low block, heavy defensive ways early in that game, but 2 goals from Allende to fire in this playoffs. New York left just a little bit amount of space for Allende and in the first half, and he made them pay. The New York did get one back for halftime, a header from a free kick. The broadcast.
Yeah, Allende with his hat trick. You know what? I think that leads him starting or having the most goals in these playoffs so far at 3. Silvetti and Segovia finish and round it off. Hawk was the only goal on the other side, but it was, other than that, was pretty much a done deal for Inter Miami, who seems to kind of have that team of expectation with them right now. And I think that was one of the best ways that I can describe what this final is going to look at. You have a team of expectation in Inter Miami. This team has been built to win every single competition they're in. They expect to do it. And it's not only that they expect to do it, it's almost as if they feel it's their birthright, right? That it is an affront if anyone even else challenges them. And we saw that in the League's Cup final against Seattle, where Seattle won it and Miami took it very, very poorly. Then you have the team of destiny, and that seems to be what the Whitecaps are this year. It was a team that was ranked 14th or 15th in the West by pretty much every pundit out there other than Bradley Wright Phillips, who at least had them, I think, making the playoffs in 9th. And they started to surprise everyone and basically, let's be honest, it was Jesper Sorensen showing who he is what he can do, how he can manage his club, how he can get them playing, and how he can elevate players, because he's done that with almost every single player on this pitch this year. Even the players that were doing well, he's done it through injuries. He's done it through losing his captain. He's done it through 3 different competitions. There seems to be that mark that this was always in the stars, right? And now you've got these 2, non-stoppable trains heading down one track against each other, and it's going to be just which one derails first.
Unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
Exactly.
I believe that's this year's MLS Cup final. Miami extra motivation, given the fact that they lost the Whitecaps in the League Cup semifinals back in April, lost the League Cup final, and of course they do not want to end the year without a trophy given the squad that they have. And this will be the final game for Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba. And could you believe their final games of their careers are against the Whitecaps?
Yeah. I was watching another group, and they were asking about whether or not that whole idea of this being their final game is going to kind of play into their minds a little bit. And it was an interesting comment, because they said probably not. If it would have been any of the other games, like, semifinals or, earlier on, best of 3, it might have actually played in their minds, because you had the possibility of games still beyond that in the playoffs. This is the final. There is nothing. If you win, you're retiring. If you lose, you're retiring. So, the whole idea of what's next doesn't really play into this anymore. And I think that's going to alleviate or kind of help them a little bit. It's definitely a benefit on Inter Miami's side. Other thing is, this game is down in Miami, and we all know how important playing your own stadium is. One thing that is interesting, BC Place is going to be having their watch party again, and I believe that they're near or over, at least the last time you and I heard numbers was around 16,000 tickets had been sold. I believe Chase Stadium only seats about 23,000. So can you imagine that it might actually get to the point where the BC Plate's watch party is bigger than the crowd at Chase Stadium?
Yeah, I know. And if only more for Alan Chapman on decision day, the Whitecaps would have been hosting this game at BC Place, but alas.
Well, speaking of referees, the referee assignments for this game have come out as well.
Whitecaps.
It will be Drew Fisher refereeing the final down in Miami, which is pretty interesting. Canadian referee born out of Calgary, has a but he has a pretty interesting record when you start looking by club. The team that he has reffed the most out of any other team across all competitions is the Vancouver Whitecaps. He's reffed 30 Whitecaps matches throughout his career for a record of 13 wins, 11 draws, 6 losses. But the interesting thing is when you get down to Miami, he's reffed Miami 12 times. He has never reffed a game where Miami has lost. 11 wins, 1 draw. So I don't know what to think about that. Now, the last time he reffed a Whitecaps match was the Canadian Championship final against Vancouver FC. So maybe, going from one final to another final, that can play into it a little bit, or who knows, I'm reading into it. But this is a referee, love him or hate him. He did win MLS Referee of the Year last year. So you can argue that, this is one that maybe he deserves. But it's kind of tough to read into this with who's refereeing. You can do it multiple ways that benefits either side.
I believe the Whitecaps have a winning record when Drew Fisher officiates.
They do have a winning record, but it's fairly balanced. It's fairly balanced. But Miami's record with him is just off and running.
So both teams have a winning record with Drew Fisher. And honestly, as long as he calls a good game and doesn't make it about himself, whatever. Pretty much.
The hope you can say for any referee, right?
Yeah, and like our experience with Drew isn't that type of referee. And also should mention this will be the final Inter Miami match at Chase Stadium because they're moving to that new stadium next year, Miami Freedom Park.
Which is another thing. I mean, if you could get to open up your brand new stadium with a banner, a star over your badge, I mean, there's a lot that can go into that can make a club and a fan base feel really, really good about themselves. Do we want to predict this?
We can do that later, but we'll
Sure.
break it down a bit more. So people are saying, oh, yeah, Inter Miami, they don't have the best defense. I agree, but a lot has changed from not just Miami, but from both sides since these two teams met in April. Miami have the same personnel defensively, but they made tweaks, I would say, tactically, though they still give up a bunch of goals. And Miami back in April were really like, oh, let's rely on Messi. Because remember in the first year, it was just Messi doing pretty much everything. Same with the second leg. This time around, Messi has help from Allende and Silvetti and others. So Miami are more than just Messi, Busquets, and Alba right now.
The one thing with their the one thing with Miami's defense is that they have definitely shorted up over the last number of months. They've only allowed 3 goals in this entire playoffs, which is pretty amazing when you look at how many goals they've been scoring. Throughout the latter half of the season, it's very, very few and far between where they allowed more than 1 goal. You can look back to their match against Chicago, where Chicago blew them out of the water 5-3. But that's kind of an aberration when you look at the latter half of their season, almost from the beginning of September onward. They've actually Mascherano seems to finally have figured out a system that works for these players. Their organization is better. Yes, everything in the attack still runs through Messi. Everything still relies on him. But I would argue that they have become a much better defensive team, especially from when the Whitecaps last faced them in CONCACAF.
Yeah, they look more Miami, put it that way.
Yeah.
And Mascherano, remember he was getting a lot of criticism back in April?
He was.
He's kind of silenced those critics and kind of figured out things tactically. And yeah, they signed Rodrigo De Paul, which really helps the midfield. And he'll be up for his Rodrigo De Paul antics.
Antics, yes, but I haven't seen anything special from him.
It's mostly Suarez.
Yeah.
And we know what Suarez did after Leagues Cup.
Yeah. I mean, you got to want, for what they're paying De Paul, I don't see it.
Yeah, he's not. I think he's just focused on playing, which is nice.
Yeah.
Instead of being a troll. But I think again the key here for the Whitecaps, get that first goal, silence that Chase Stadium crowd. Whitecaps are still undefeated when scoring first.
Yes.
And also, Jesper Sorensen talked about this when I asked him when he first arrived here. You want to nullify Messi? Don't give him the ball.
It's pretty much true.
Yeah, and just don't give him any space for him or Allende or Silvetti. It will be really interesting to see how the back line lines up. I keep Priso at center back, given how well he's done.
I would keep Priso at center back as well. Obviously, you're going to throw Tristan Blackman back in there now that he's done with his suspension. The question is what you're going to do at left back. I think that because Messi is going to be likely on that right-hand side, or at least cheating out to that right-hand side, I would put Matias Laborda there. He is going to stay back a little bit more defensively than Tate Johnson. And I just see that as being a bit better. Now, the one thing I would do is I would have a conversation with Laborda before the game, just saying, don't let him get under your skin, right? Don't get that early yellow card. That's going to, make things very, very difficult for the rest of the match. Because the one thing we have seen right now is that when you get Messi angry, he plays better.
He don't troll Messi, don't poke the bear, as the old saying goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just it's been very impressive Priso the last 2 months, given how calm, how not out of place or in place he looks as a center back. Like if you don't watch the Whitecaps, you think Priso was the center back all his life, but no, he started playing center back 2 months ago.
I think at
But
this
he's got,
point he hasn't even had 10 games as center back.
I think it's less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is like Sergio Busquets, obviously one of the best deep line playmakers of all time. Really got to be wary of the long balls he puts over the midfield and onto the attackers. So that's another thing to watch. And for the attack for the Whitecaps, I think I go with the same attack from the last game because if you ain't broke, don't fix it. Gold
I
is
would go with the same attack. You also have the super sub in Ryan Gauld that can come off and
which
give you
is
that extra
a
burst of
very good
energy
thing.
when needed later in the game. I agree with you. Right now, you don't change it.
Yeah. Why would you change it? Because Ahmed and Savvy did really well against San Diego.
Yeah.
Don't overthink things. And Jesper's not the type of to overthink anyway, so there's a lot of trust. And yeah, I think another big thing is I really think this potentially could be a classic. Potentially this could be the greatest MLS Cup final of all time because a lot of eyes will be on this one. Messi is in an MLS Cup final, and then there's Thomas Muller on the other side.
Not only that, but both these teams know how to put the ball in the net. Uh, I don't, I don't see either one running away with it, but
No,
I do
I think
believe
it's
it
going to be a
could be
very
high
close game.
scoring.
I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up like 3-3, 4-4 after a normal time
4-4 would
or
kill
something
me.
like
That
that.
would be too much of my nerves.
No, it would kill
But
all of
yeah,
us.
I mean, it has that potential, doesn't it?
Yeah, and um, like Muller versus Messi is what pretty much the dream matchup was. Muller even himself said that he prayed for this final. I believe before the playoffs started, this is my predicted final,
Yeah.
so I got that right. Um, and like even the history between these two legendary players, one last dance between them, and then of course there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Muller is Messi's kryptonite." Muller beaten Messi on the big stage before, but Muller said, "Yeah, it's not about that. It's not about the past record. It's about now. It's Miami versus Vancouver, not Muller versus Messi."
I would agree with that too. I also think that so much of what Miami does attacking wise relies on Messi. Whitecaps were fine without Mueller beforehand, but he adds so much more to the squad when he's there. Um, it's going to be so. Yeah, I find that it can be almost over reliant on Messi. He might not be the one getting the goals, but he is orchestrating everything. Um,
Messi's a
yeah, I
quieter
don't know. I
genius,
think if I
though.
have to predict this one, I'm going to go 3-3. It's on
Yeah, I
penalties.
think I'm penalties too, 3-3. I'll say goals from Muller, White. Screw it, that Berhalter scores a free kick. Uh, and then on the other side, Messi, Allende, and I guess another from Messi as well. Because
I'll
why
go
not?
Messi, Allende, and maybe Allende with two. I'll go Mueller, White, and I'm going to go Sabi. I think he's due.
Yeah, I'll just say Berhalter scores a free kick because why not?
That'd be
He
awesome.
would. Yeah, like this game could potentially really be something. Could be a classic. And oh yeah, and let's not forget Andres Kudus' record against Messi, undefeated for going back to their international games and the Champions Cup. So um, remember, Kudus got under Messi's skin in leg one when they were here in Vancouver.
He did the same
And
also when it was Paraguay, Argentina, back
yeah, of
in
all,
qualification.
yep. So Kubis, has to continue to be Kubis and try to get under Messi's skin the same way he did. And
Need Kubas to have a game like he did in the last one because even though White had the brace, I still think Kubas had the absolute game of his life in that much. Not only creating, but I mean, the guy's a hunter. He's a wolf when he's
yeah,
attacking players on the ball.
Him versus Busquets in the midfield.
Yeah.
That's a great midfield matchup. And I'm also reading here that MLS Cup will be broadcast live in Times Square in New York City on the Silvercast Media's high definition megazilla with digital TV display, spanning the entire city block. So the Whitecaps will be broadcasted in Times Square.
That's funny. I didn't know that. The one thing I did see is they're talking about the numbers, TV numbers for this playoffs compared to last year. I think it's something like a 22% increase.
Oh yeah, it is.
Which is great.
I mean, given the star power a lot of teams have, it's not surprising.
No, it's very true.
And a lot of fans. I can't blame you if you're nervous, excited at the same time, because this could potentially be the greatest game in Whitecaps history, or it'll end in heartbreak. I just, I believe it's a lot closer. These two teams are matched up. Obviously, Miami's the favorite. Let's put it that way. But nobody should count out the Vancouver Whitecaps in this game.
No, I agree with you. I think if you're a neutral and you're placing your bet, Miami's a pretty safe bet. But the Whitecaps are nothing to sniff at, and if the odds, favor you, go for it.
Yeah, the odds are closer. I don't remember what the exact odds were, but Miami was like at minus 100 or something, and Whitecaps Inter Miami minus 235 on the betting market. Whitecaps plus 75. That's actually close. So place your bets if you're a gambling man. This is not sponsored, by the way. I'm reading the official MLS.
Yeah, and I'm not a gambling man, so I wouldn't be doing it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to gamble on this because of media, and that would just be wrong. So, and also I should mention that the home team does better in MLS Cups. Like 7 out of the last 8 MLS Cup winners for the home team.
Which is not surprising. That's, obviously, getting that home advantage means a lot. So,
last time a road team won MLS Cup was New York City FC in 2021 when they beat Portland on penalties. But if you have to go back 10 years for a road team to win in normal time. That was Portland.
Really? There you go.
So, Vancouver Whitecaps, Inter Miami, MLS Cup. We'll be doing more coverage. I have another article planned tomorrow, I believe, on this. Nathan will be writing the game. I'll write something after.
And then obviously you and I will be talking about it on the show next week as well.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a celebratory show, or unfortunately it could be a somber show.
We'll have to wait and see.
So my prediction 3-3 penalties. Nathan's is the same. Muller versus Messi. East Coast, West Coast. I was just thinking about this. The distance between these two teams, it's crazy.
Yeah.
MLS Cup final Saturday. I'll be at the watch party as media, and if you want to go down, why not? Make some noise for the boys and do a little light. So that's the MLS Cup. Something out of the CPL that's worth mentioning. York United is no more. No, they did not fold like Valor did, but they're under a new name. They are now Inter Toronto FC and have changed their colors from blue and green to yellow and white.
Sure.
Okay. It's just saying that, like the press release said, they want to be more like, inclusive of the Toronto area. And
so wasn't York 9 inclusive by mentioning all the 9 boroughs? You already changed it. You've now changed your name 3 times in the league's been around 7 years?
Yeah. And they also have long-term plans for a stadium close to BMO Field.
Yeah.
So that's something. So I guess that played a part in the rebrand. I don't know. I'm gonna miss the York United blue and green colors. I always thought their kits were
It was
nice,
nice.
but I mean, the logo has like that same. I don't know what that is in the middle, but colors are different, like blue, yellow, white. Um, and there is a stadium where they want to be at, um, Lamport Stadium, but it needs upgrade.
Yeah.
I don't know, like sure, I guess, but the Mexican ownership that bought the team like a year or 2 years ago, they really are all in on this, so that's good for the club. And I think they have a bunch of long term plans up their sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, let's move over.
yeah. Europe, Chelsea, 1-1 draw against Arsenal. But given Chelsea started the game very well, controlling the play. Esteban unfortunately missed the half volley or one time chance. Like it, Arsenal did not have Saliba and Gabriel, which is huge, and it felt like Chelsea's game for the taking until the 37th minute when Moises Caicedo stepped on an Arsenal player. I'm not arguing this one. This was a clear red.
Yeah.
He got the studs up. And I don't know why Caicedo rolled around, pretended like he was hurt after. Like, that's not helping. Stop acting.
Yeah.
And now he's suspended 3 games. And honestly, it's kind of a good thing given how much he's played, but they're going to miss his midfield presence. And they need Andre Santos to step up. Like, that was just pathetic. Stepping on the guy, getting sent off, rolling around. Really pathetic. But to Chelsea's credit, they did 10. They were down to 10 men and looked like the better team for most of the game. Like defended well, they were great on the transition. Reece James had to be in the midfield for this game, and he was everywhere. Blocks, tackles, crosses. This is why Reece James is a world class player. And then, like early in the second half, Chelsea used Arsenal's spell against them, set pieces. Um, the corner from Neto, I believe, finds the head of Trevor Chalaba, got it past Raya. Fortunately, Chelsea couldn't hold on because Fofana and Gusto were ball watching, and Mikel Merino, the header, tied the game up. But overall, sure, it's a bit disappointing, especially with the way they started this game. But given the fact they were down to 10 men, getting a point is huge. I just wish they put the game away a little earlier when they had 11v11 because it looked like Chelsea could have won the game. But overall, it was a result, and I think Neto looked dangerous down the wing. Um, Delap when he came on, I wish they got him the ball more. I know it was hard down to 10 men, but when he did have the ball, he looked dangerous, but his finishing and his final third play wasn't that good. And so Chelsea have 3 road games coming up. Leeds today, actually, about in an hour or two. Leeds, they went toe to toe with Man United. Not Man United, Man City over the weekend, and Man City had to win in the death. And speaking of Man City, they played that crazy game against Fulham yesterday. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And then they go to Bournemouth on the weekend, and then a Champions League away match in Italy against Atalanta. Should win those games, right? But you never know in football. And Chelsea leads back. A rivalry that goes back to 1970. This should be fun. And Leeds play a pretty nasty low block themselves. And Enzo Maresca was asked about it, and he said, "Yeah, it's a good question, but I'm not." He's like, "Not going to give too much away, but they really have to be pro, like on the nose when it comes to breaking down Leeds' defense." And I'm just reading here: Chelsea won 6 of their last 48 away league games against Leeds. So That's gotta change.
Yeah.
Uh, Chelsea undefeated in can't remember like 6, 7, 8 games now. So things are looking up. Chelsea, I would say they are in the title race with City and Arsenal, but they're the dark horse candidate. Just gotta take it one game at a time. And I don't think you're gonna talk about Tottenham too much.
Hey, remember when they were in that race too? A few months back? And I think they're sitting in 12th now. So it tells you how far they've
And
fallen.
I still don't know what kind of team Tottenham are.
They seem to look a little bit better last week, right after we recorded our show last week in Champions League against PSG. They were up twice at different points against the team. They finally showed a bit of an attack, but everything fell apart behind. Again, it was PSG. It was basically a rematch of the Super Cup from earlier this year, a 5-3 loss. It's PSG. I hate to say it, but I think that was always on the cards. But this next game against Fulham, that should have been a game where you could have won. It was at Tottenham Hotspur Way, 2-1 loss. And the first goal, you could argue it took a bad deflection. Vicario didn't have a chance. The second goal was...
what was he thinking?
I don't know what Vicario was doing. He was way, way out of his net. Player that scored it, almost scored it from sitting in the stands and just curled it in with a great left-footed shot. They pull one back, but two gifted goals like that you cannot do.
Yeah.
Marginally better against Newcastle. Yesterday, a 2-2 draw. At least it was a point on the board. But again, it was Cristiano Romero. It was a center back who got a brace. First one, it was a corner kick. Nothing came of it, but in the ensuing play, Romero stayed up front while it was going on. Kudus took the ball on the right, put it in for Romero, and basically it was a striker's goal with the center back just because he happened to stay up in the play. Good goal.
Yep.
They tied it up in the 95th minute with an unbelievable overhead kick.
That was a great goal
from Romero. It didn't really seem to have a lot of power on it, but it caught everyone unaware. I don't think the goalkeeper saw it as it was kind of going through bodies until the very last minute because his reaction was so slow. Basically the last play of the game. But again, Romero and Van de Ven, that's your goal scorers for the Whitecaps. I mean, Van de Ven, I think, is actually tied for the team lead in goals. And you've got to have a problem. Like Simmons, it's the longest dry streak of his career. I don't believe he's scored in 18 games now. Mattis Tell, since he's come to Tottenham, is only getting a goal every 6 games. Like, this is not acceptable. I already know that, Frank apparently doesn't really rate Solanke because he's not getting any time. Even I know he was injured and whatnot, but he wasn't getting any time before that. Richarlison, to his credit, is doing okay, especially compared to last year. I think he's already doubled his tally from last year. He had one goal last year, I believe, in the PSG game. But there's just so many questions with this team in attack, and there shouldn't be. There's enough playmakers on this team without Kulusevski, without James Maddison, that you should be able to get something done. It's not happening. They get another chance against Brentford.
I think that's trying or that's actually look good is Kudus.
Kudus has looked great. Right? I've been really, really happy with him.
I feel like he's been carrying that attack.
They get a chance against Brentford on the weekend, so Thomas Frank to his old stomping grounds. We'll have to wait and see if it's just more misery or they finally find an attack. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I guess Chelsea dodged the bullet with Xavi Simmons.
I don't know what's going on with him because he at times looks brilliant.
But it's just not at times he ghosts.
Yeah.
So yeah. One my club's doing good. Yours is
not doing anything.
Opposite directions. So FIFA is going to use VAR for corners at next year's World Cup.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one because in October at the IFAB kind of Congress that they have where they take a look at rules, this was one of the rules that was proposed to IFAB at the time, and reviewing corners was rejected for individual leagues. So the fact that they're trying to bring it in for the World Cup, they're basically using the World Cup to trial it. I look, that's fine if you want to trial it. I don't think the World Cup is the venue where you should be doing that. The other thing they're also looking at is to expand VAR coverage to cover incorrectly shown second yellow cards. Not really a decision on that right now. These rules are going to be readdressed when IFAB meets again in January, but we'll have to wait and see. It looks like it's already going to be happening with VAR on corners. Now, individual leagues hate this because they feel that VAR takes too much time, and this is just going to add to it, especially when you think of how many corners you have in a game. You have way more corners in a game than you do penalty shouts or anything like that, right?
Right.
We'll have to wait and see. In my mind, if they decide to do this, this is just one more move to moving to a 60-minute stop clock, which I'm fine. Do a 60-minute stop clock. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but I just feel like it's a bit excessive corners. And at the World Cup, why not trial it like, I don't know, in a league game or something, or at a cup tournament, domestic cup, but what the hell, sure.
Yeah.
And given the amount of corners per game, oh, imagine the VAR shouts every like 5 minutes. That's going to be painful.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. Back to England. This whole debacle with Sheffield Wednesday, they received an additional 6-point deduction in the championship game, so it just keeps getting worse.
They're now 27 points off of safety. I believe they're sitting at negative 10 points in the championship right now. Also, their former owner, Jafon Chansri, has received a 3-year ban from owning or being a director of any EFL club. Again, this has to do with non-payments. Players and staff not getting paid and, going into administration. So, yeah, this latest ruling leaves them minus 10 points. They are 27 points behind Swansea, who's in 21st in the league, which is that last relegation spot. Look, there is going to be a buyer for this team. There are a number of offers for it, but they're going to have to basically create a phoenix, right? They're going to have to get this team out of the ashes, and they're going to have to do it from League One. Possibly, it might take a bit more, and you end up like a Sunderland and drop down even further. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
it's going to take a long time to resurrect.
That is a lot of points deducted this year for a team that you feel bad for them.
It's going to take years. Yeah, resurrect Sheffield Wednesday. One last thing here. So the draw for the World Cup is on Friday. Yeah, I think what I've decided. I'll do a watch party. We'll do watch along for it because why not? One of us might do like an instant reaction article.
Yeah.
As well. So FIFA will introduce the Peace Prize to be awarded at the World Cup, which is being held in Washington, D.C. on Friday. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to win. Regardless of what you think about the guy, he's going to make the whole thing about himself.
Well, this is basically, it seems to be a reaction to the fact that he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, that it went elsewhere. And, the White House released statements of saying it was politics or fairness and all that stuff. So the fact that Infantino has created a separate prize just to stroke his ego, this diminishes everything FIFA does.
Yeah, what does this have to do with football?
Like, I get it. He's your friend.
Yeah, but you can't just give a
but I just... Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what FIFA is using as its mandate. I don't even understand if this has gone through a vote with FIFA's Congress. Like, this seems to be just a pet project of Infantino wanting to stick his nose further up than he already has.
Yeah. They've announced the lineup will present the final draw. Hosts are Kevin Hart, Heidi Klum, and Danny Ramirez. And live performances for a World Cup draw. The legendary Andrea Bocelli, Nicole Scherzinger, and Robbie Williams. I mean, nothing against Andrea Bocelli though.
Which happens. So whenever the World Cup draw starts, you can probably tune in an hour later, and they still wouldn't have started the draw.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a bit for a draw, and but Canada's World Cup opponents for the group stage will be unveiled. Canada being in pot one as one of the hosts, so don't expect them to draw a team like England or France or Argentina. But they could draw teams like Uruguay, Japan, Switzerland, Scotland, or Haiti or Curacao.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what kind of group Canada gets. I don't know how to predict this because the draw. I would like to see. I think if it's my dream group would be Canada, Scotland, um, Japan, and I don't know New Zealand.
I mean, Scotland and Japan are nothing to sniff at. It would definitely be a challenging group, but it would be
Yeah, I
one
want a
that,
challenge. I don't want.
it would be one that would battle test Canada.
Yeah, I don't want. I don't want an easy group.
Yeah.
I would say. I want Canada to be challenged at the World Cup.
Yeah. So we'll have to
believe,
wait
like,
and see.
Yeah, like I believe Japan and Scotland would be good
Yeah.
challenges. I know. I just want Scotland to be in the group because Michael McCall would have a field day of AFTN.
Fair enough.
So yeah, MLS Cup on Saturday. As I mentioned, I'll be at the watch party. Um, just check it out and all that. Nathan will be writing the post game. I'll be writing something else afterwards, regardless of result. Hopefully, it's a good game. Hope best case scenario, obviously the Whitecaps win, and maybe next week they'll have another parade down Rawson Street. The city deserves
Nice.
a championship. It's too much suffering between the Whitecaps, Canucks, and Lions. It's been not since 2011 that a Vancouver team has won a pro sports championship when the Lions won the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
So,
and we have a chance possibly this year to do it with two different soccer teams.
Yeah. Rise obviously won the NSL, and I mean, Whitecaps would just cap off an incredible year of soccer here in the city. And tune in. It's on Apple, TSN. Yeah, for people who complain, oh, it's not on cable TV. It is for this weekend because it's MLS Cup. And yeah, I can't wait. Nathan can't wait. Should be a good one. So that'll conclude this week's show. Follow me on Twitter at Joshua00, Nathan and Derek. Podcast at Terminal City FC. We're on Blue Sky as well. Same with the podcast. Check out the Instagram and YouTube channel. So we'll be all around the clock covering the Whitecaps and MLS Cup. Just a couple sleeps away. And yeah, can't wait.
Here we go.
Here we go. So that concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.